Dear OPP, I was on scene for a doctor-mandated Form 1 psychiatric assessment of my sister. I wanted to contact you because the two officers that came to transport my sister displayed an extremely notable approach to her very emotional state. Not only did the officers demonstrate an incredible level of respect to Danielle, but they also displayed phenomenal therapeutic communication and came with a very non-threatening approach, which I and my family deeply appreciate. Her struggles are heartbreaking, and to see the level of compassion that both officers offered her proved to be effective and left her with her dignity as she was transported against her own wishes in peace. I have witnessed many approaches with my own sister, and also as a former paramedic with patients. Until today, I have yet to witness such honor and respect. I felt compelled to not only express my gratitude to them, but also to inform you that you have two incredible leaders on your hands that could set an example for officers across the board, and who knows, maybe even change the face of policing altogether. Thank you again from my family.
Dear OPP, I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank you for all of the hard and dangerous work you do as a police officer each and every day. I am forever grateful that you were one of the officers that attended the call for help on the morning of August 30th, 2020 at my then home. I am the one that gained the courage to make the phone call that very sad and fearful day. I wanted you to know that you left a lasting impression on me that shall never be forgotten. You spoke to me in your cruiser, and somehow the words you said to me that morning convinced me that I no longer needed to live like the way I was living. You convinced me that I needed to leave that place I called home for many years, but, so you know, it really was never a home. I grew up in a loving home and lived with two parents that respected, loved, and truly cared for one another, so the life I was living was not at all what I grew up thinking my life would be like. I left August 30th, 2020, and I never returned. My children and I stayed with my parents for 7 months. I wanted to let you know that my children are doing very well. They no longer have to be witness to the hurt, sadness, confusion, and dysfunction to which they were subject many, many times. I am gaining strength and a true sense of self each day. I am relearning who I am as a person. I was under the control of my ex-husband for so long that I had forgotten that I was a person worthy of happiness and respect. I am just starting to live my life in a way that is free of turmoil and hurt.
Dear OPP, on March 6, 2021, two members of the Ontario Provincial Police were bombarded with a number of unusual questions, informed of random facts, shown photos on a phone of creatures caught, and even given live demonstrations of just how fast 6-year-olds could run in rubber boots. To say that my daughters and their friend were beyond thrilled to have the undivided attention of two incredible police officers would be an understatement. I am certain the officers were meeting up to talk for a few minutes and weren't expecting to entertain 3 children with a relentless amount of energy, but their willingness to fully engage with the young ladies and take a quick hike to look for frogs and snakes absolutely made their day. My father was an officer in Aurelia for over 45 years, and I know he had countless interactions of this nature throughout his career, and he had a positive impact on our community. Seeing these officers carry on that tradition made me extremely proud of my father, and I honestly cannot thank these women enough for the positive impact that they had on my daughters and the community that they serve. Thank you to all of our officers who often do not receive the proper praise and thanks for the difficult job they do to better our community.
Dear OPP, we wanted to reach out after meeting you on March 11th. The circumstances were tragic, but we wanted to recognize how grateful we are for the time you spent here. I'm sure that taking time to speak to the employees about their mental health isn't standard protocol for a fatality investigation at a work site. Your time and words were well received by this group, and I've heard from several individuals how much they appreciated you speaking about your own mental health and wellness. There was one employee who spoke with you and still talks about how your words resonated with him, and it's because of you he is taking steps to look after his own mental health needs. As the nurses on site, we do a lot of health teaching and wellness promotion. We talk about looking after our bodies with the same thought and care as we would for a high-performance vehicle. It translated so well to them from you when you compared looking after their mental health like you would look after an injured leg. It is no less important and should be treated with the same follow-up and care. I spoke with our VP of Communications and our Human Resources Manager about what a positive experience this was for our employees. We often hear only the darker stories from our professions, and it needs to be recognized when something positive can come out of something tragic.
Dear OPP, I am writing today to express my deep appreciation and that of my father and brother and the rest of our family for the efforts and sacrifices made by so many of your members when my mother went missing overnight in Simcoe on March 4th, 2021. It was completely unexpected that this would happen and extremely upsetting for all of us. The immediate and professional response from the OPP is most deserving of recognition. I am aware that there were very many involved in the search, and it was obvious to me, observing the events, that each had a role to play and seemed to know it well. Throughout the night, we, the family, had close contact with PC Tim Lee and Sergeant Goodlett. PC Lee spent the night in my parents' kitchen with us. He treated us with kindness and compassion while still getting his job done. Sergeant Goodlett gave the noticeably clear impression of being in control as he managed the events and questioned or updated us. His commanding yet kind demeanor also encouraged me to keep believing in a positive outcome. Once my mother was located, it was PC Komodowski who returned her to the house. His interactions with her were friendly and she appeared in no way to feel intimidated. He was smiling and his attitude was positive despite what I'm guessing was a long, cold night spent searching for her. I feel indebted to all associated with the search for their exemplary service. My heart is full of appreciation and respect for policing in general, and particularly so for every member who played a role in locating my dear mom.
Dear OPP, I wanted to recognize Constable Corey Nelson on his efforts the night of November 4th, 2018. That night, I was charged with a DUI. I had crashed my car. I didn't remember much of that night, but I woke up in the holding cell of the London detachment. Initially, I had said I didn't want my wife to be contacted. Corey treated me with kindness and respect, which I clearly didn't necessarily deserve as I put a lot of lives in danger. I have the utmost respect for him and his actions to contact my family and tell them the situation, and I cannot thank him enough. I got through the Back on Track program and got my license back. I did start drinking again, but I did attend a 6-week program at Homewood at the advice of my doctor and spouse. I'm now working through Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm happy every day that I'm sober. Thinking about the actions Constable Nelson took that night inspired me to get through the rehab as well as follow the Alcoholics Anonymous program, which I'm giving my full effort. Without his actions, I don't know if I would ever have gotten sober, and he inspired me to get sober permanently. We can't thank him enough.